Hey guys, welcome to the Human Echoes podcast. This is our special coverage, a little bite-sized chunks of the movies that we saw at the Mile High Horror Film Festival. And this one, so we got to tell the story, Tony. We got to set this up because this is about a movie called Darling. And when we first saw this movie on the roster, we looked it up because we wanted to do our research and know what was going on with these movies. And so we looked up, went on IMDb, looked at the movie Darling, and there was
I put Darling 2015 trailer. And turns out that's a Bollywood movie.
So Tony's and I reminded him, I was like, we were going down the films we wanted to see, sort of divide and conquer. We didn't see everything together. So I was like, which ones do you want to see, this Darling movie or not? And he's like, I think I do. And I said, this is the Bollywood movie, right? It's got the singing in it and stuff. You don't want to see that? And he's like, oh, no, yeah, I don't want to see that. I was like, okay, I'll see that by myself.
In retrospect, I kind of want to see this Bollywood one because it's straight up horror.
Bollywood movie. Okay.
Yeah, it is a straight up horror Bollywood movie. I know Bollywood makes movies of everything. We actually had a good talk about Bollywood with one of our fans, Yellow Foliage, yesterday. We met him at a Gunther Tooties. It was pretty awesome. Anyway,
restaurant in Colorado for those of you who are uninitiated, as I was.
50s style diner, basically. Even with the music and the decor, all that stuff. But we were talking about Bollywood for a while, and Bollywood's a little bit different than a normal musical because it bursts into a music video that's separate from the plot and everything else, and it's really awkward. But they always get the most gorgeous women, and the music's catchy enough.
So and then mix that in with the horror movie, and it seems like it'd be awesome. And then we found out that wasn't what the movie was.
However, Darling, which we should also pull up who the director is for this one, I think it's something Keating, is a psychological horror movie filmed in New York City, full black and white. Just a really, really well done, kind of bottled episode type movie.
It was the closest thing the film festival had to an experimental film.
Yeah.
And that I hesitate to say that too much because I know that'll turn some people off. Because there's people who are going to be like, oh, well, and it's not, it is uber stylized. If you're looking for a deep plot, there's not, there's a story that happens but it's a lot of girl walking slowly through the house looking scared, girl opening door very slowly looking scared.
Occasionally door opening on its own and slamming and scaring the crap out of you in the dark, scared.
But it's a movie that doesn't have any special effects to speak of, or even really any makeup effects. There's no monster that jumps out at you. There's no thing that opens into another world or whatever. It's everything that's done is done in camera. But it really just ramps up. This was the only movie at the film festival that legitimately scared me.
And it's kind of fun to sit next to Al while he's freaked out because he's doing this and
I put my
just
in my ears.
Yeah, and I was creeped out by it. Now, there were a few jump scares that actually got me. Most of that was just the giant musical flourish. But it felt like it earned some of the jump scares more than some movies do. It wasn't just about the jump scares. A lot of times whenever you're staring into this girl's face, things start flashing. You'll see just a very quick view of either somebody screaming or something a little more sinister. I'd like to look at some of the stills that they actually used for this movie because there were a few that looked really creepy that I didn't really get a full look at.
And there's some cool stuff that they do too. There beside her bed, there's an octopus tentacle looking thing that kind of is evocative of Cthulhu.
And she
has some
an
sort
upside
down
Latin
cross.
Yeah, it has some sort of Latin inscription on this side
it's Abyssum, Abyssa,
Sanctu or
anyway,
Invoca or something like that.
Or Invocat, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I had Latin, so I don't remember exactly, but something with the abyss, opening the abyss.
There's a door at the end of the hallway that you basically can't open, that it has to stay closed and all that for the movie's sake. But it's I really like this movie.
Okay, so the phrase style over substance gets thrown around a lot as an insult. As one of those things it's just a lot of style over substance. This movie's style over substance, okay, it is, but it's in a good way.
Yeah.
In a very, the style is there's a lot of style, okay? The substance while there is, some character development that happens, it is very confused. And it's the kind of movie I'm kind of glad I saw in the theater.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
I was talking with Tony earlier about how that, like, if I saw this movie on Netflix, I would have watched it in like 3 different parts, and kind of like been able to turn away from it a little bit and not had the benefit of not being able to turn down the giant musical.
Yeah.
Like, the score is so great in this. It's not like some revolutionary score, but like it's playing over sometimes like really loud over dialogue on purpose just to give you that like sort of unsettling feeling, like people are talking and there's like,
and there's one part where like there's just a like blood curdling scream about to happen, but you hear more like this strange distortion, and it's definitely creepy and it's definitely interesting. And like if you do have the pleasure of watching this movie, which it actually did get picked up, I saw it has a pretty decent distributor. It's going to be.
Are you sure it's not the Bollywood movie?
I
can't find information about this movie. It's on IMDb, and the first result is freaking.
I had to put the director's name. Like I
don't know what his name
Keating.
Is. Okay,
or Keats.
I wanted to pay that off. I was like, oh, I got this thing open. We talked about.
Yeah, it was. People at Fantastic Fest really liked it, and it actually got signed to a deal during the showing at Fantastic Fest.
How do you spell Keats? With 2 E's or an A?
Yay. Or Keating. This is so professional, you guys. But anyway, like Darling, we'll probably end up watching the Bollywood movie just because it seems interesting. But for now, like, this is a movie that if you do see it, do yourself a favor. Make sure you're in a dark room. Make sure you've got it on the big screen and you're ready to just kind of like be immersed in just this. If you're watching it passively in your living room, it's not going to be a good movie. It's a movie that you kind of have to wrap yourself into.
Mickey Keating. Finally. Anyway, hard movie to run down. I don't even think we can find a trailer for it.
Yeah.
Although this is a movie, when you see the trailer, you're going to be like, the trailer looks great. The movie looks amazing. It's like that. We mentioned it earlier, but that stark black and white. I was so excited when they started playing this movie, and I was like, oh, this is in black and white.
Yeah, I heard you say black and white. Nice.
It's so cool, though, because, and it's one of those things that doesn't get a lot of, it's not very mainstream accessible. It's very, again, it's experimental.
Yeah.
But it's not so far over your head that you can't enjoy it. And they did some interesting stuff. Like there's chapters through this movie. The chapter 1, chapter 2, I think it goes to chapter 7.
Yeah, chapter 6 or 7, one of those two.
Yeah, no, because there was one after 6.
Yeah.
Which there was always like a little something different about the title card for each chapter, which I really liked. Like
chapter 6 had the best little thing on it.
With the little, like, because they just like one frame of like the 2 6s on side of the side of the 6.
Yeah.
So it said spelled out 666. But the they would play sometimes different music over the titles. It would be different fonts and different colors for different titles. It was, and by the way, I say it's black and white, but it's not strictly speaking 100% black and white because the title shows up. That was probably one of the, like, if you watch the first 5 minutes of this movie, you'll know whether it's for you or not, because it was terrifying for me when the title popped up. It's pink. Like, you've already gotten used to this sort of black and white stark, and then like it's pink and like the loud, like discordant piano chord goes darling. Like in this nice pink, like it was it's a trip. But if you want to see that kind of movie, you got to see Darling.
And this is one that I gave 5 stars to. I think you gave it 4.
I think I gave it 4 because the ending just didn't. I despite the fact that I really love the style, I wanted something more definitive, or
this
to release the just sort of like a sense of closure at the ending, and I didn't get that as much as I wanted to, which is another reason why I say I'm glad I didn't watch it on Netflix, because I would have got to the end and be like, what the heck was that? Like, and it is very much one of those movies where you get to the end and you're like, I don't.
Yeah, there's a little bit of mystery to this movie that could probably be solved with other viewings, but it is
smarter people.
Yeah, it's fascinating. If you guys saw the movie Jugface, which we reviewed a while back, it stars the same leading girl.
She's very good in it too.
Yeah, she is.
She has like, especially in the opening, as I mentioned, there's a lot of her walking around the house slowly. It's not, strictly speaking, realistic. She doesn't act like a real person would and turn on some radio and like not, but it's not that kind of movie. But her face is so perfect for this. Like, she just does that, like, like horrified stare, the dead-eyed stare, like the
well, like whenever she's smiling, she makes it look so creepy. Like it's so foreign to her face that like her not looking terrifying is more terrifying.
There's one shot, it must go on for a couple minutes, where she's talking on the phone and you're seeing her through the slats of the stairway, and she's just staring directly into the camera as she's talking on the phone with this lady, and it's like,
well, like also the bottom of the phone like blocks out her mouth, so you're just like seeing like it's just sinister looking.
Yes, the best special effects in this movie are just her face and like how unsettling she is and how unsettling the score is, and everything works together to make a really, really cool stylistic sort of experimental horror film that may not exactly satisfy you, but if you're like me anyway, you'll definitely be a little scared by it.
And it's so eerie that you're like looking in corners, you're expecting to see things, you're expecting like random special effects to happen because you shouldn't be so unsettled by a hallway.
And a mirrors everywhere in this movie. It looked great too.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, especially for what it was. I definitely will recommend it, but like I said, make sure you're in the condition to watch it.
I gave it a 4. I would almost like to bump it up to a 4.5. I don't know that it was. I still am a little bit wishing that it was more definitive, but especially having had time to mellow on that movie, really, really happy with what I got to see. So
yeah, I also wish more people would have actually been at this showing, but it was competing with
early morning, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it was competing with the showing of Hatchet, and
35.
The director, the director Adam Green was actually at that showing and everything. So you can kind of see why people would pick that.
But Darling was awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to get to see it because it did get picked up for some kind of distribution. So I don't know if it's going to make it to a big theater chain, but it will be in a VOD/Redbox place near you pretty soon.
All right.
Hopefully soon.
I think that's everything. There were a couple movies that we saw, and we don't want to be haters. We're just going to kind of let them go. There are people that in the theater actually really liked some of these movies, but we both didn't really feel like it's something we want to talk about right now. We don't want to trash anything. We're trying to be positive, especially because there were a lot of really good movies.
Well, we're reviewing Darling right now, but yes, there were some things at the festival that unsettled us even more than Darling did, in a different way. But
yeah, not in like the good creepy way.
So that is it for, I think, our coverage of the Mile High Horror Film Festival.
There should be another video coming out showing us meeting. I'm not sure the order that these are all being released, but thank you guys so much for checking this out.
And if you haven't seen the other videos that we've done, if you're interested in the stuff that played at this film festival, there's some really cool and very diverse content that they put up on the screen. And we've got reviews on all of them. They're all about 10 minutes each. So check those out.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have an excellent day. Be sure to like and subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.